Sure, let's talk about it. Now, I am cautious about what I share here when it comes to what I believe, not because I care about what you think. If you don't want to follow along, that's okay. Because obviously, not every spiritual path is for everyone. Just look inside the Christian denomination itself. We've got, 35,000? Some people say more Christian denominations worldwide. And why is that? Well, it's because people are looking for other ways to connect and understand their spiritual journey. But what it means for me is, who's to say what is right? So don't come at me about my beliefs. The whole thing about this rigid, dogmatic thinking and who's wrong and who's right and who's going to hell and who isn't, that time is long past us. And it certainly doesn't mean that people aren't still trying to hold on to that. But what I mean by that is the power structure that supports this literal interpretation, evangelical Christian structure, especially here in America, is weakening. But that's the structure of my heritage. That's the structure that I deconstructed from. So has it impacted me? Of course it has. So now I call myself an unchurched, non-conforming Christian who is an ordained interfaith, interspiritual minister who walks the spiritual but not religious path. Unchurched kind of speaks for itself, but non-conforming came from a sermon that I read from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that he gave in 1955, talking about what it means to be non-conforming and how to use your spirituality for the good of the whole. So what that means for me, especially when you look at his life, is that he took his faith and he resisted authority that was oppressing human rights. I want to use my spirituality in the same way. That's why I hold on to non-conforming. So why do I call myself a Christian? Because I did the work. Since I was a little girl, I navigated through many Christian denominations, and all along the way, I worked hard to be the good Christian. I've been baptized twice. I've been an ordained elder. I've been an administrator and a leader. I have started children's programs. I was not a church shopper, and I was not doing spirituality light. I was trying to understand what was inside me that could not be served inside Christianity until I realized that my spirituality would be better served outside of church. But I hold on to my Christian identity because I am still inspired by the teachings of Jesus. So, now to your question. I no longer believe in the God of my religious heritage, the masculinized, patriarchal, anthropomorphized God that has become so weaponized by this patriarchal structure and has done more to oppress human rights than anything in the world. Now, I will not speak on the faults of other world religions. We know that they're there, but I can speak enough about Christianity because it is my religious heritage. And I now believe that religious freedom means that you do have the right to believe that being gay is a sin. You do have the right to believe that a woman cannot be an ordained minister. You do have the right to believe that divorced people can't be church leaders. You do have the right to believe that only men can be in an authoritative figure in your church and in your home. That is your right. That is religious freedom. But that isn't enough for most of the people who believe like that. What they want to do then is make sure that the rest of us live under that belief system. That is religious oppression. And I want nothing to do with the God that is worshiped under that belief system. And now I believe that religious patriarchal structures like that are in place to suppress the rights of others, can never be reconciled with any kind of authentic spirituality that points you to the divine. Now, spirituality to me means more about how you show up in the world, and that you're working for the good of the whole, and the work that you do here is to elevate the human condition and improve the lives of people and the animals that are in our care. I now believe that spirituality is about awakening our consciousness to look at the ways that we are connected instead of fighting over and emphasizing the ways that we are different. Religion absolutely gets it wrong when it says that it's my way and that's the only way. Religion gets it wrong when it hyper focuses on salvation and then it neglects the care of our earth and our fellow sentient beings. Religion gets it wrong when it's more important to perpetuate the institution of religion than to care for the individual souls that are sitting in the pews. And sadly, I believe that religion became corrupt almost instantly when it understood its proximity to power and what that meant for the perpetuation of the institution of religion. But I believe that spirituality will always find a way forward and work for the common good of the whole. In other words, I believe we are always elevating to a higher awareness and a higher level of compassion and connectivity. I believe that God, or whatever name you have or whatever understanding you have for this holy, cannot be contained into one religion. And whatever this divine experience is big enough to share. So here's what I believe. My spirituality is about how I show up in the world. It's about creating that heaven on earth that Jesus spoke about. And I do that by being committed to leaving the world a better place because I was in it. You see, I'm the product of religious patriarchy. And because I deconstructed from it, I no longer want to have anything to do with citing scripture in a way that weaponizes it to try to one-up you about your understanding of scripture. Because I'm also proof that you can heal from that religious patriarchy. And I'm also proof that you can heal from the harm that it did to you. And then you can reclaim your spirituality and move forward living authentically without all of those narratives and limited beliefs that were put upon you by all those different conditioned beliefs and indoctrinations that you had. That is as close as I will come to telling you what I believe, because that is not a simple question, nor should it be. Your connection to and your understanding of what is holy, what is sacred, what is divine, how you experience who or what God is to you is just that. It's your experience. And I wish you well on it.